Back in 2014, one single song flipped an ordinary day of the week into an anthem that's still stuck on playlists a decade later. However, despite literally Drake hopping on his Tuesday remix and then signing him to OVO, as quick as ILoveMakonnen blew up, he disappeared even faster. So what really happened to this once rising star?
When I was overweight, they with me. That's what overweight stands for, overweight only. I'm literally at work, like, look at all these people out here. Working, getting this money. You doing better than me? Then send me some. You can hit my Cash App, Super Chef Makonnen, right? $ Super Chef Makonnen. You can send my Cash App because you know I am falling all the way off to the pits of goddamn hell, girl. 6 God don't answer no more. So, and I know that's what most of y'all care about.
Admitting that he, quote, fell off into the pits of hell and that his former boss Drake won't even answer his calls anymore. While many simply label him another one-hit wonder, the truth behind ILoveMakonnen's downfall is actually far deeper than most people realize.
This is what happened. This is why he got dropped from OVO. He brought his gay boyfriend on tour, and he brought a boyfriend to Drake's house. And that's why he got dropped. That's why Makonnen got dropped from OVO.
To be honest, if it wasn't for Drake, a lot of us would have no idea who ILoveMakonnen even is. However, what his ex-manager went on to reveal during this 20-minute video not only provides us with some long-awaited clarity, but combined with everything else we're about to break down, including some spicy old resurfaced tweets, finally answers why Drake cut off Makonnen overnight. Yet, before we can dive into the theories that he is just another victim of the OVO sweatshop, locked away in Drake's basement, first we have to understand how these two even met.
This is Drake! This is crazy! God, this is crazy! What the fuck?
Prior to learning that one of the biggest stars in the world decided to remix his song, leaving him speechless, ILoveMakonnen was unaware of the insane career that awaited him, which the chaos began right from the jump. With the real birth name Makonnen after the last name of the last royal family in Ethiopia, although as he says his mom just liked that name, he is everything but Ethiopian. Forced to move to Atlanta as a kid due to his parents' divorce, it was one specific night though right after his high school graduation that totally shook Makonnen's plans to join the Air Force.
Why were you on house arrest?
Oh man, I had an unfortunate situation. One of my friends died like day after high school, one of my best friends, and just some shit, wrong place, wrong time. You know, I won't go into the details, but you know.
Although he doesn't like to go into details too often, Makonnen would explain the wild situation to the fader. We're in the car and they're rolling up, and I'm in the back seat, he recalls. Anthony is on the phone with his girlfriend, arguing about some petty shit. Makonnen tells his friend to get off the phone, but then he hangs up and pulls out a gun, cocks it, and points it at Makonnen. They're able to calm down for a moment, but then only a few minutes later, I go back to the car and the door is open and the gun's on his leg. So I go to reach for it, he feels it move, and he didn't know I was coming, he just felt it moving and that shit just popped. I saw the flash and I saw him bleeding out of his head. Understandably so, in total shock of what just happened, Makonnen would soon turn himself into the police. However, after sitting in isolated jail for 4 weeks, when his case went to trial, Makonnen was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter and sentenced to 5 years of probation and house arrest.
I like the quietness of it to think and to really vibe out.
Yet, with permission from the court though to attend cosmetology school, something that will also come into play again later on in this video, along with spending his days browsing on MySpace and even connecting with Adele right before she blew up.
I don't think she had blew up yet, but she had this one song on there called Homecoming, and it made her first album. And I told her in a message about, oh my God, you're so good, you're gonna blow up and all that shit. And can I just get an interview? And she was like, yeah, sure, thank you. And send the questions over.
Due to all this free time locked up in the house, 2011 was when Makonnen began experimenting with music. And when it came time to come up with a stage name and artist alias, everybody was out to hate me and hate me. He says of the years following Anthony's tragic death, it was just hate Makonnen fest. A big Makonnen ain't shit fest. All the negative shit that you could think about the name Makonnen, they threw it at me. Like, if I let the outside hate get inside me, I probably would have ended myself. That's what they were pushing me towards. But I knew the truth about me. ILoveMakonnen. Thus, with all the motivation he needed, ILoveMakonnen then locked in 100% on his music. And thanks to the help of producer Mike Will Made It, another Atlanta-based legend who was a fan of Makonnen's sound, it was actually one night during a studio session in 2014 with Mike when Makonnen would meet Metro Boomin. And while nowhere near the star he is today, after exchanging numbers, a few weeks later, Makonnen would receive an invite over to Metro's house, in addition to also Sunny Digital, where they cooked up 6 fresh songs right on the spot.
One day we was at my house, cause we used to record a lot of stuff in my house back in the day. So I had Makonnen over there one day, and I just called Sunny, I called Southside, and I called TM. Like, man, y'all gotta pull up, like, this nigga's crazy. His voice, everything's crazy.
Metro called me, he was like, bro, pull up to my house. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, yo, just pull up, man, I gotta show you something. Yeah, I gets there and I see Makonnen, and we just fans of each other now, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know he knew me, he didn't know I knew him.
Immediately hitting it off, one of the first songs that Makonnen and Sunny Digital recorded together was then this one right here, Makonnen's earliest hit, I Don't Sell No More. However, when it then came time for his breakout smash though, a lot of fans may not know this, but prior to Sunny Digital and Metro both reworking the final version of Tuesday and adding in their tags,
Metro Boomin want some more, nigga.
ILoveMakonnen had instead self-produced the first beat for what was originally titled Club Going Up on a Tuesday, serving as the lead single for his self-titled debut EP in 2014, aside from pop star Miley Cyrus, who reposted his debut project on Instagram. While the future was already looking extremely bright for this young artist, 1 month later came the verse, which changed Makonnen's life forever.
Hey, this is Drake.
Why do you think OVO started a relationship with you? They needed a hot song, answered Makonnen, looking back in retrospect. That's it. But while we are about to learn exactly why Makonnen split from OVO was so messy in just a sec, again, if it wasn't for Drake though, Makonnen's career might have never even got off the ground in the first place. Because although Club Going Up on a Tuesday was an underground success, it wasn't until August of 2024 when the Six God hopped on the remix, when Tuesday was launched into the mainstream spotlight.
Somebody tweeted me a link like, oh, that new Drake and ILoveMakonnen is fire. And I just favored it like, oh yeah, that would be dope. He must mean like if me and Drake made a track,
right,
that would be hot. And I was like, yeah, that would be hot. And then it said the official OVO page tweeted me and was like, ILoveMakonnen featuring Drake, Tuesday remix. And I was like, what the hell? I was like, no way. And so I played the song. And I was like, oh, this is probably just somebody, you know, with that, the fake mashups. They do like a Drake verse from like, I don't know, one of his old songs on a song. But then when I heard him sing, I was just like, what the? It just blew my mind.
Revealing that he never heard Drake's remix version until it was out on OVO's SoundCloud page, this time titled as Just Tuesday featuring Drake, and fittingly released on a Tuesday night. So, with now a fresh club banger under his belt, this 25-year-old who had started music alone in his bedroom was suddenly turning into one of the hottest names in the game.
Was it hard for you to just take the amount of attention that was on you so fast?
Yeah, definitely. Because before that, I came from like being on house arrest and like being alone in my room. And so it's like literally going from being a loner to everybody claiming to be your friend and want to give you everything and just be around you all the time and all this shit. And so it's like it's hard to go from 0 to 100.
Going from 0 to 100 is honestly a great way to put it. However, life would just keep getting better for Makonnen. Following the release of their viral Tuesday remix, a month later then arrived this headline. ILoveMakonnen signs to Drake's OVO Sound. Founded by Drake back in 2012, as an imprint of Warner Records, OVO Sound is Drake's record label, home to other artists including Party Next Door, Roy Woods, and Smiley to name a few. And especially back then, at a time when Drake's blessing felt like a guaranteed route to a mainstream career, such as carrying the Migos to new heights with his Versace remix only a year earlier. Again, after we can see here, inking his first ever record deal with OVO next to his family, the sky was the limit for ILoveMakonnen.
A lot of people attempted to criticize him for finding these younger artists and then in a sense exploiting and biting their style. Like, say, in regards to that, since, you know, it benefited you and you don't take it as that.
I feel like it's not bad at all. I mean, Drake is like the biggest artist in our genre, in music, right? And it's like, so if a lot of people are paying attention to him and he's been paying attention to us, then that's bringing us out. You know what I'm saying? That's helping bring us new artists out to the world stage.
But to then help introduce Makonnen and to celebrate their new signing, he would soon be spotted joining Drake on tour, popping out at his show in Atlanta. Tuesday was one of the hottest hits of the year, and as I mentioned, is still in playlists today. Receiving a nomination at the 57th Grammy Awards,
My pleasure today to be with one of the hottest artists out right now, one of the bigger songs on radio. Introduce yourself, brother.
I'm ILoveMakonnen. How you doing?
Despite looking unstoppable, as the year of 2015 rolled around though, things slowly started to change for the worst, and Makonnen definitely could feel it too. Although things hadn't escalated to the point of physical altercation quite yet in the story, no one was prepared for what 2015 had in store. I felt things shift when the old tweets got out from 2010, recalled Makonnen of his relationship with OVO, when I was talking shit about Drake and everybody. But I'm talking shit about every artist who had a name, so nobody felt left out. That's what social media was. It was 2009-2010, nobody had social media etiquette. To be more specific, what Makonnen was referring to were these old tweets right here that fans had dug up. Tweets which he had posted on his account back in 2010, 4 years before meeting and signing to Drake. I'm so tired of hearing about Drake, overhyped and washed up as already. Drake is mad corny. I just heard that practice song. Straight corn puff. What's a bitch dude like you doing? Listening to Drake. Before then, closing with one more. Elmo looks like a red Drake. All of these were no doubt a bad look. But these next two tweets that fans found though from 2013 tell us that Makonnen warmed up to Drake as an artist. Drake ain't whack. He is actually one of my favorite artists to come out in the past few years. I'm a big Drake fan now. Now that the bandwagon riders have left, I can appreciate his music.
What happened with the OVO situation? Because I know that like you had kind of said something on, was it on Twitter about Drake?
Well, you know, it was a few times where I was with OVO and then like some old tweets would get out.
Okay.
Or like old tweets would come up from 2010, 2000, whatever. Like some trolls they pulled them up and stuff, and then OVO, Drake and them, they found out about him or whatever, and we kind of talked about it, but you know, it looked bad out there in that, and we really didn't know each other, you know what I'm saying?
Stating that, while it did look bad, he and Drake were able to talk about these old posts, but were tweets really the reason why Drake ditched ILoveMakonnen? Or did something deeper go down behind the scenes? I mean, that can't just be it, right? Makonnen asked himself about the split. That was before I even know you. We can get past that. Excuse me for being effed up in the hood and wanting to be a comedian. However, as 2015 went on though, and the two tried to move past this, Makonnen notes how their performance together at Wireless Festival that same year was another huge hint that something was off.
I came out on Drake's set at Wireless, but that's when I knew something was weird. Because when I came out on set, it was, you know, everybody was kind of like, And I started losing weight too, right? Drake had like made a little joke, like, oh, you little Eric Benet looking at, you know what I'm saying? And then I just started to feel this vibe, like a little, you know what I mean? Something was said about me, but we not, I don't know. So I'm like, okay. And so then when we go out to do the song, I'm just doing the hook, and as I was supposed to go into my verse, they just cut it. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks. You know what I mean? And I just got off stage. But I was like, this is crazy. Like the crowd is going crazy right now. They with me, like they ready to hear, you know what I'm saying? I was working on it, and they just shut it off, and I was like, all right.
My flight was supposed to be on Monday night, but I think I'm gonna cancel that shit because
Going up on a Tuesday, got your girl in the cut and she Tuesday.
We got London going up on a Friday. Got your girl in the cut and she choosing, and London going up on a Friday. Got your girl in the cut and she choosing. Make some one time.
Confused on why Drake cut off his verse and left with basically zero answers, although, as we're about to see, Makonnen's ex-manager certainly has his main reason, as well as Adam22, who also agrees on this popular theory.
I think Makonnen might take issue with that, just because I feel like 2013, 2014, I feel like he still kind of got a lot of shit for coming out as gay. And I feel like, you know, we don't know where his career would have gone otherwise.
If you were to ask Makonnen himself, though, Makonnen instead believes that Drake's change in attitude all trace back to his old tweets.
People under your dad's comments saying, y'all need to drop him because he said that your song Practice was lame back in 2011. And then he called you a red Elmo back in 2010.
So, wait, was that one of the tweets of red Elmo?
Yeah.
Combined with likely more that went on too that we don't know about, clearly no longer feeling this same connection. 1 year later in 2016, we were then met with this breaking news. ILoveMakonnen parts ways with OVO Sound. officially splitting from Drake and his label, now just exclusively going with Warner. However, at least at first, the two tried to keep things positive. "I cannot thank OVO enough for all that they have done for my career," read his statement issued to Pitchfork. "No words can express how much I appreciate Drake for being a part of the success of Tuesday. I'm sure the haters will have something negative to say, but all in all, my choice to be solo Warner Records was the right thing for me and for my best interest." Before then closing with, "Sorry, there is no beef to report." "I'm not in OVO," Makonnen clarified to fans after his departure. "Please don't ask me any more questions about them, because I have no answers. But Makonnen album is soon." Once again, continuing to try and express that there was no bad blood or any beef. However, what went down over the next few months told us the exact opposite.
Look like views from the, or what's that album? What's that dumb album with the ska shit? Take Care or some shit? That's so fun. Why you leave OVO? Cause I was underweight now. When I was overweight, they with me. That's what OVO stands for. Overweight only. Overweight only.
After initially joking that OVO dropped him because he lost weight, admitting that Chick-fil-A was the main culprit in the excess weight he gained when famous, only 2 months following his departure from OVO, Makonnen would appear on Tim Westwood to spit a freestyle on air. And combined with rapping over strictly Drake instrumentals, Makonnen had these bars, which many took as a reference to his former boss.
Damn, motherfucker said I got dropped. Haha, that's a motherfucking hip hop. You know that's a motherfucking lie. Only place I drop that is in my goddamn pants size. Ugh.
Along with being pretty vague, it's important to remember too that this was just a freestyle off the top of his head, making it slightly easier to forgive how bad it was. However, if you ask Makonnen, he never intended for these lyrics to be aimed at Drake.
It's like, okay, Tim Westwood playing all these Drake beats, and I'm over here freestyling. And so now people like, oh, he talking about Drake? He going after Drake. And it's like, okay, so I can't, you know what I mean? It's like, and then he turned the comments off on it, because then they start saying, this is a trash freestyle, nigga.
Regardless of his true intentions though, as blogs began to run with the drama around Makonnen's new freestyle, it would soon find its way to Drake himself. And as it appears, Drake definitely took offense. ILoveMakonnen's Tim Westwood show had premiered in June of 2016, yet 3 months later, Drake got his chance to respond. The location was Rihanna's VMAs after party in New York. "I'm in here around all these award winners, and I took pictures with Chainsmokers and G-Eazy, and everybody was all friends. I'm in here in the middle of the floor with no security, and some members of OVO come walking, so I step to the side, they see me and stop, and the biggest motherfucker in the game, aka Drake, goes, 'Next time I'ma F you up.'" And after hearing this, Makonnen was lost for words.
Drake and Rihanna walk in, and everybody moves out the way, and they got big security. And I ain't seen Drake in a minute, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, hey, Drake, what's up? And then he looked at me like, "Good next time I see you, I'm gonna fuck you up for talking shit." I just felt like a lot of, like weird energy, because Rihanna kind of looked at me and was like, what the f? I'm like, nigga, this is my night up in this bitch. What the f y'all doing? And I was just like, look, I don't know, I'm gonna just get about it.
Totally thrown off by Drake's tough guy actions out of nowhere. "All I have is love and respect for everyone," came this since deleted tweet by Makonnen following the incident. "I was there tonight to meet and greet everyone with love. This is so weird." Left again to try and connect the dots himself of where he went wrong. "I guess it came back from my freestyle on Tim Westwood," Makonnen admits. "But when I'm rapping, people think I'm throwing shots. I ain't rap no names, all I did was rap." Holding firm on his stance that he never actually dissed the head of OVO. At this point though, there was no denying the hard feelings from Drake's side. However, apart from some old tweets coming to light and a few vague disses, we still haven't answered the question, why did Drake really drop Makonnen from OVO?
I don't know. They was just looking at me like, almost like, damn, you too talented or some shit. I was like playing the keys and like, all right, Drake, and then you can go in there and sing this like that and like this like that. Hold on, I got another verse for you. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that. And it was just like, this is scary.
If you know anything about Drake's record label OVO Sound, then I'm sure you already know its dark history of mismanaging artists. And as it turns out, unfortunately, ILoveMakonnen is another example. During his short time signed under OVO, Makonnen not only cited issues with the label allegedly delaying his follow-up album, stating that he felt like he was not able to release music as freely as he'd like, while also acknowledging how this delay killed his momentum in the process. All that momentum he had built off a viral hit. There was never real communication, he says today of his arrangement with Drake's company. Our agreement was just off of Tuesday, rather than ILoveMakonnen as an artist. I was told certain things would happen, and they weren't happening. And I don't like to wait around. When I got signed, he was all in my face telling me, "You one of the greatest songwriters ever," Makonnen continued. But then later when I'm like, "Can y'all tweet out my mixtape? Can I get a feature? Can I get production?" No. So I'm just over here in prison? Am I in prison? He asks.
I was like, all right, and then I did my next EP, right? And nobody promoted it. Drake didn't put it on the thing, and it just felt like it was there. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to be over here.
Feeling totally alone at this point, and like he had no one to call on for help, those same industry doors which had once flung open for ILoveMakonnen were now slammed shut. But while there was still one massive secret to come to light, which had been hiding in front of our eyes his entire career, in hopes to start a new chapter though away from OVO, in the fall of 2016, Makonnen and his mother relocated out to Portland, Oregon, citing his love for the city and clean air, along with the ability to hone his skills in the kitchen. A hobby that, just last month, Makonnen found himself going viral for the first time in years.
I'm not even a celebrity. I'm a regular person that works a job, and now everybody's making fun of me, trying to say, aha, that's what you get because you're a celebrity and you work in a job and you fell off and you have nothing going on for you, and that's why so-and-so and this and that and that, nana, aha, you trying to help yourself, aha, look at you.
But before appearing to be a chef now and retired from music, it was the following year of 2017 though when ILoveMakonnen made his biggest announcement to the world. An announcement that, according to his ex-manager's side of the story, is the true reason why Drake cut ties with Makonnen. Since the beginning of his career, there had always been speculation surrounding ILoveMakonnen's sexuality. And while I want to make it clear there's nothing wrong either way, for the first few years of his rise to fame in the spotlight, Makonnen was forced to tiptoe around questions such as these during interviews.
The cosmetology thing threw me for a loop.
Well, you got to get your business right and get your money together, because it ain't all about what everybody else think it is.
Listen, let's keep on.
I'm in the beauty.
I am
in the beauty. I'm in the beauty industry.
I'm gonna be real. I thought maybe you was a gay artist.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with that. I still like the music.
Yeah, but that's so cliche.
It's too simple, right?
Yeah, it's too simple, man.
It's too simple.
3 years later, though, in 2017, Makonnen took to Twitter to finally reveal the truth in a series of now deleted tweets.
As a fashion icon, I can't tell you about everybody else's closet. I can only tell you about mine, and it's time I come out. And since y'all love breaking news, here's some old news to break. I'm gay, and I told you about my life. Maybe you can go live yours.
Announcing to the world and his fans the truth, which a lot of us had kinda expected. Again, keep in mind this was in 2017, when, especially in hip-hop, being gay was far less common. And as a result, after this news, basically all of Makonnen's former collaborators and industry friends went silent, and showed him no support. Well, everyone was silent, but the legendary Atlanta trio, the Migos, who made this controversial quote during an interview with Rolling Stone. "Damn, Makonnen," said Quavo after an awkward interlude. They supported him? That's because the world is f***ed up, added Offset. "The world is not right," said Takeoff, suggesting that Makonnen's personal life undermines his credibility, since he first came out talking about trapping. "That's whack, bro," frowned Quavo.
I feel like when you did that, like, I remember the Migos had something to say. It kind of felt like some people maybe distance themselves a little. Did you feel that at all?
Yeah, I felt that, but that is for each his own, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm from Atlanta. Migos from Atlanta. Everybody from Atlanta know what time it is in Atlanta. And so it's like, at the end of the day, I'm just be like, I gotta do me.
In response to the backlash that the Migos received, shortly following their article, they would then go on to release this statement on social media, apologizing if they had offended anyone.
How long have you known that you were gay?
I was always experimenting in my life, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't say I'm for sure on anything, because it's like, I was young, living, and so for sure was in 2016.
Telling us that he knew for sure in 2016, which is when he started being more open about it. And again, remember, as we just covered, 2016 was the year that Drake dropped ILoveMakonnen. So with that being said, did Drake really drop him because he was gay? Well, if you ask Makonnen's now ex-manager Presley Snipes, this guy right here, according to his side of the story, it literally is that simple.
So I wasn't even about to tell this story because it's not going to do nothing for me. It's not going to bring no money. While Makonnen got dropped from OVO, this motherfucker can't even break the top 100 charts. Nobody cares about this guy no more. This is my story. And I'm not about to let some punk motherfucker, telling my story the wrong way. He brought his gay boyfriend on tour and he brought him to Drake's house. And that's why he got dropped. People would tell me dude is fruity. And I'd be like, yo, that's whatever. That's my bro, man. Leave him alone. He make music. Chill, bro. He on his own shit. Why you worried about that? So we sitting inside the Drake's studio. I'm thinking to myself, why the f did he bring this guy with us? It just wasn't a good look for what we was trying to do. And he just fanned out. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm at Drake's house. Oh my God, this is really happening. I'm just like, so then Drake look at me like, That shit, like, that's your man's? And then before that happened, he had got pulled off the stage for dissing Troy Ave. And this dumbass didn't even know, like, you know, you disrespecting Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn. For one, you disrespecting somebody who embraced you from my neighborhood. And then you want to diss Troy Ave on Twitter on some subliminal shit without even calling his name out.
This particular incident with rapper Troy Ave that his manager also touched on was right here. As we can see, when Makonnen was attacked on stage while performing in New York next to Slim Jimmy of Ray Shremmerd. But the rumor swirled that this was one of Troy Ave's goons he had sent out, following shade that Makonnen had thrown at him on Twitter. "Y'all are trash for them remixes," Makonnen typed on his page after the release of Troy Ave's remix of Tuesday, to which Troy then responded back, "Just know that we're gonna see about them comments when we see you, fat
Didn't know that Drake's personal trainer was cool with Troy Ave. So that was really strike one. Strike two was you brought your boyfriend to Drake's house. That was strike two. Strike three was them tweets, them old tweets where he was talking about him in 2010 resurfaced. And then they was like, man, this guy, man, anybody got time for this shit, man. You bring guys with Speedos over my house and shit.
Now, the part of his manager's story about bringing the boyfriend over to Drake's house is yet to be confirmed, and probably never will be. But why did this guy get fired as Makonnen's manager in the first place? As we know, there are two sides to every story, and while his manager shared this video to speak his, Makonnen's is of course a little different. Things went sour when I started reaching success, and my manager started pressing OVO and them for like $1 million, he claims, because he had some debts. He's like, "Drake, y'all the biggest dudes in the game, give us $1 million. So I can see how I was misrepresented to them over there. And then I found out what he was saying, then he sued me and got a settlement. He still has a percentage on Tuesday, and still lives off that song."
He didn't want me in that position of power. So he tried to run off. I'm about to come out the closet, press, doing your straight life. He ran off, and I never heard from that bitch boy again. And then I sued him. And I can't talk about the lawsuit, but I sued him, and I never heard from him again. And the rest is history. And they dropped his ass after that.
As it stands today, it's essentially one person's word against the others. However, there was no debating though that following Makonnen's initial coming out announcement in 2017, it did feel like nobody wanted to be associated with them anymore. Most people in the industry just turned the other way to it. I guess they were like, I can't be around it, because that will end up making them look different. Well, that was everybody except for one person. I actually met Lil Peep in person right after I came out. He was one of the first artists who reached out to me and was like, "I love you. I'm a big fan always." Offering his support during a tough time and soon linking up together, ILoveMakonnen and Lil Peep would quickly go on to form quite the close relationship. And with Peep himself sharing this to his Twitter a few months after Makonnen came out, revealing that he was bi, despite at one point even living together and quote, wearing each other's clothes, Makonnen has since clarified this about the two's relationship.
Yeah, I know you and Lil Peep are really close. What was your relationship with him? Like, I know some people said that y'all was dating or y'all was just really good friends. What was y'all's dynamic?
Really good friends. Like, if anything, our artists, we was two very, like, much fans of each other, you know what I'm saying? So it's like our artists were dating.
You have a broken heart, I have a broken heart. Let's try to mend each other's broken hearts, Makonnen told Peep. We were not boyfriend and boyfriend or anything, but we cared about each other, forming a bond beyond just music. Sadly, in less than a year later though, in 2017, Makonnen then woke up to this nightmare news.
A star in the rap world has died. The New York Times reports that Lil Peep died last night before a show in Tucson. Lil Peep was raised in New York but moved here to LA and lived on Skid Row when he was trying to break into the music business.
"I'm never gonna be okay," Makonnen typed on Twitter the morning of Peep's passing. "I'll always love you. We became best friends and made some of the best music I've ever been a part of. I'm gonna miss you forever." As he alluded to before this happened, Makonnen and Lil Peep had been recording a ton of music together. In fact, with a collab album even announced by Lil Peep right here on Instagram in 2017, as we can read, showing us the tracklist with Makonnen. However, Peep's tragic overdose came before they could release it, then hit with a series of delays and bumps when trying to put it out posthumously, including getting leaked in its entirety. Having accepted that their collab album would never formally release, that was until 3 years ago in 2023, when Lil Peep's mother actually won back control over her son's music following a lawsuit with his label. Thus, this then cleared the way for ILoveMakonnen and Lil Peep's collab album titled Diamonds to finally release for fans in 2023.
Songs that Peep have down that he wanted was Falling Down, November, Sidelines, Hocus Pocus, I Don't Give a F***, Hypnotized, I've Been Waiting, Falling, and Twisted. Those are the ones that he had listed in his iPhone. at this time.
At a total of 22 tracks, which even he admits was not their original vision, one key song that didn't make the cut though was Sunlight on Your Skin. Prior to first releasing under the name Falling Down and becoming Lil Peep's most streamed song, thanks in part to an added in verse by XXXTentacion and Columbia Records. But the original version of this track, Sunlight on Your Skin, instead featured ILoveMakonnen.
Where I wanna be again and again.
Sparking controversy over posthumous releases and how they should be handled, including by some of Lil Peep's own friends, such as this guy named Fishnark, who was one of the producers on Diamonds and another close friend of Peep.
Peep never heard the XXX feature because it didn't get made until after he was gone. He explicitly rejected XXX for his abuse of women, spent time and money getting XXX's songs removed from his Spotify playlist, and wouldn't have co-signed that song. Don't listen to it. Shit is people trying to make money off of him. He never would have signed up for that. He did not like XXXTentacion. If you have an ounce of respect for him and the person he was and his politics, ignore it. Please.
I am honored to have co-written this song that X was inspired to be a part of shortly before he died, Makonnen wrote on Instagram. Peep and I always believe that music heals and brings people together in a way that nothing else can. Yet, despite the backlash that both management teams faced, it turns out though that, according to Lil Peep's mom in this comment, it was actually all Makonnen's choice to sub X onto the song rather than him.
It was surprising. I was like, I didn't even know X was listening to what we was doing and, anything like that. But I was like, that's dope. That's when they presented it to me about the idea, and I was like, sure, like I don't mind.
The original version of Sunlight on Your Skin was released a week later, of course featuring Makonnen. However, aside from releasing his collab project with Peep and some more new singles throughout the years, including a very odd pop-punk style track with Ray Shremmerd, since parting ways with Drake and OVO, the truth is, none of Makonnen's releases have cracked the Billboard charts.
You a bum! You a broke ass bitch ass nigga who got in the game ain't cause it was ain't on some gay shit why niggas ain't accept you. Niggas ain't accept you cause you was trash.
I want y'all to all tag Big Brisket, aka Academics. I don't know if I inspired you for your weight gain, but hopefully I can inspire you for your weight loss. You know what I'm saying? Cause I don't really like seeing you being so negative and all sassy and looking, real upset like that. It's like every time I see you on a Twitch stream, which is rare because I don't be watching, it's like you look so lonely by yourself, drinking Hennessy, listening to songs, talking about this and talking about that. And it's like, girl, go get a life. Go get you a girl. But it's like, then it goes again. You don't like girls. You know what I'm saying? It's obvious. We could look at your page. All you post is dudes all day.
Still putting out a few projects too, such as his Drink More Water mixtape series, yet combined with no hit songs. Even after leaving OVO, Makonnen has still complained about being shelved by Warner. I need help explaining to my record label why I am culturally important to music, came this tweet in 2019. I need full support and clearances to drop 3 projects this year. Obviously, Makonnen would not get that support, losing more and more momentum by the year as fans' interest continued to drop. As of today, the last time when Makonnen says that he felt like he had a lot of support in the news was 3 years ago back in 2022 when he linked up with NBA YoungBoy. YoungBoy was on house arrest at the time and he would call me like, bro, can you come out here? Talk with me, hang with me for a little bit. I've always been a big fan. I'm going through some shit. Boom, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna come out there to see you. So that is exactly what Makonnen did. With the caption you already know, in this video of them chilling in a Lambo while listening to Post Malone's new album and tagging him in the bottom corner. However, literally just 1 month later though, Makonnen was speaking totally different about Post Malone on his page. And not just Post Malone, but in August of 2023, ILoveMakonnen decided to also call out Metro Boomin and Sway Lee, 2 of his former collaborators, for basically being fake and only reaching out after they saw him with YoungBoy. I'm him and I've been here. I ain't do shit to y'all. Y'all turned your back on me and held hands together, unfollowed me and everything. Now y'all see me with YoungBoy and start hitting me up like it's all good. Damn, that shit painful to see, especially after we came up together in Atlanta in 2014. Continuing on to also share this DM between him and Metro, where Metro apparently hit him up saying, we gotta shake the world up again. We can chop it up anytime you see me, I don't do the public drama shit, fired back Sway Lee in the comments, to which Makonnen then responded, immediately switching his tone and attitude. We'll chop it up, it's love, it's just a conversation. Don't be mad that the only way I get support is if some drama going on. You know the music is fire, and you know everybody been trying to deny it. It ain't no beef, you stay up too. Yet, combined with these lyrics by Drake on his album with 21 Savage, rapping,
What happened to that nigga claiming OVO? We traded him.
Although this could honestly be about anyone, of course some speculate these lyrics were aimed at Makonnen. However, while at this point ILoveMakonnen was simply written off as another one-hit wonder who we would never hear from again, nobody could have predicted what happened next. In September of 2024, ILoveMakonnen announced that he was officially retiring from music. I am retiring ILoveMakonnen. Thank you all for your support and interest over the years. It's time I move on and go live my life. Now, rappers claiming that they are retiring is by no means anything new. And in fact, this wasn't even the first time that Makonnen himself claimed that he was hanging it up, as he tried to pull this same retirement tactic back in 2016 after leaving OVO, before returning with a new song only a few weeks later, which it turns out was Makonnen's strategy here as well. Because although his 2024 pop album Inflated Sense of Importance remains his latest project, that's not to say he hasn't still dropped new singles. However, at the same time, aside from his small core fanbase, nothing has made any noise. Now creating for the simple love of the game, ILoveMakonnen has come to terms with the fact that his time in the music spotlight is long gone.
So no cap, while I'm in LA, and if you got a job that, you know what I'm saying, could pay me, let me know, because I'm trying to do some shit. And I actually am really trying to try out for some roles as an actor, you know? I'm just out here feeling like I'm starting over from scratch and just trying new things. So if you got any opportunity for me that you think would be great for me, that's gonna be able to pay my bills, okay, and take care of my family.
Stating that he wants to, quote, start over from scratch in order to pay his bills, combined with also announcing the launch of his new podcast. Recently, ILoveMakonnen has been making waves with his videos on TikTok, allowing fans to see his outgoing personality and him just being real, such as 2 months ago in August of 2025, when Makonnen found himself going viral for the most unexpected reason.
I'm literally at work type shit. Look at all these people out here. They're working, getting this money.
Cooking up. We got the smash burgers going off tonight. You know, I'm tired already though, but you know, I love cooking for the people.
I'll never forgive Drake for this. The top comment reads, OVO will pay for what they did to your career. While it is totally cool to work a more regular type of job, like being a chef or at a restaurant, you know, do you get your money? But by simply seeing someone who a decade ago was raking in millions of streams every single day, for fans to see ILoveMakonnen grilling burgers now came as a big shock, including to Joe Budden.
Doing shows back at the crib in Atlanta, and it was a little scene unfolding where you got like Makonnen, what's the
Makonnen.
Yeah, it was a scene bubbling, bro.
Makonnen. Anyway.
There was a scene bubbling, and
I don't know why I be having these motherfuckers so pressed. It's like I don't even know y'all. I never met y'all. I really be minding my business, and then people be trying to cover me and shade me and just get so disrespectful, right?
Explaining that he's just been minding his business while people like Joe Budden are constantly hating, although he does have some previous restaurant experience in Atlanta before he blew up. However, the truth behind this viral TikTok is so much deeper. I'm not embarrassed, I'm just surviving like every human has to, Makonnen said in a recent interview. Rather than a full-time kitchen job to pay his bills, which many users just assumed after seeing the video, it turns out that this viral TikTok was just a kitchen shift Makonnen was working as part of a fundraiser to help his community rebuild after a fire devastated Portland's Burn Money Studios. And ironic name aside, Burn Money Studios was a hub for local artists where Makonnen, now at age 36, had been working. By the way, there is also a GoFundMe page to help them raise money that I will be sure to include down below if anyone wants to donate.
You know, may look like, oh my God, how he's fallen off. It's just unfortunate that you know, that there are people who don't even care about, you know, what may have happened.
I never chased a recording career, Makonnen closed with saying. Music was a way out, but once I saw the politics, the egos, and all the fake shit, I knew this wasn't for me. Respectfully, I want to remove myself. And with some of course dragging Drake into the clip that blew up, people always tie my story back to Drake, but I haven't had a relationship with him since 2015. Everybody I've known turned their back on me, he says, and pretty much said, F you. We'll come around when you're dead and tell everybody you were a legend.